Eu darei a minha vida pra você ficar. Eu daria a minha vida pra você ficar. Eu daria a minha vida pra você ficar. Eu daria a minha vida pra você ficar. Sei pra do nada, do tiro sei, do tiro disto. Sei pra
I feel the same way as travelers who sailed on the seas centuries ago, arrived at this island after a long journey. The Portuguese called it Boa Vida, the island of good life.
Eu daria a minha vida pra você ficar. Uma vez pintou as alto, vendido las dos virus de sei pra do nada, don't Steve Tram, don't Steve Dan. Eu daria a minha vida pra você ficar. Eu daria a minha vida pra você ficar.
A tale of two cities, Mumbai and Bombay. In many ways, my own story begins here, the journey of the filmmaker, Sam Goldberg. His discovery through different languages, kinship structures, cultures, and people, all who coexist separately, yet in close proximity. Awareness of this diversity informs the very consciousness of the dweller of Mumbai, the Mumbaikar. Hi, Michael, it's Sam. Just calling to check in. I've arrived in Mumbai and it's really beautiful. You can't imagine the room I have, a view of the Arabian Sea. I wish I could share it with you and Liz. Anyway, I'm sure this project is going to go really well. I'm excited to be here and, I'll let you know as things progress. Please call me Sam Godbole.
No. Don't break it. Good bole.
Godbole.
That's it.
Godbole, while telling me about my business meetings, is like all typical Mumbaikars, constantly on his phone. As he says, one for international and one for local.
That's for a very big Hollywood film production. Brad Pitt is a hero. He met me in Pune. He told me, good bole, with you around, even Hollywood doesn't have to worry.
You're a very funny man, Godbole. It feels to me that Mumbai is a perfect meeting place for strangers like myself and Malika. Godbole introduces me to Malika, an NGO worker. The first thing that strikes me about her is her refreshing candor.
So, you're a filmmaker?
That's right, I am. I'm from Los Angeles. I have a small company there called DocuNo. Our present project is on corporate India, looking at Mumbai and the age of global integration. Things like business leaders that have emerged from the city, stock and bond markets, government policies in the economy, things of that nature.
Very interesting. But Mr. Goldberg, globalization is not just about economics and GDP. It is about people, human skills, culture, and the capabilities of the local people.
We spoke of many things for a long time, and I knew at once that I was going to meet her again and again and again.
Maybe you should try visiting the VT station sometimes.
VT Station?
Yes, VT station. You might be able to find the answers to some of your questions there.
We Mumbaikars cannot live without these suburban trains. We spend a lot of time discussing 324 Virar triple fast, 544 Borivali double fast, because to a large extent our lives depend on these local suburban trains. Even with millions traveling, almost everyone has a ticket or a pass.
I find it fascinating that this city has the world's most dense urban railway transit system, carrying more than, 6 million people a day. In this sea of humanity, you don't know whether they're from Malabar Hill or Jogeshwari. Whether it's rain or storm, all you know is that they're trying to get to the city of gold. Come on board, they say. We'll adjust. Dear Michael, I've been in Mumbai for just a few days, and I'm already deeply drawn into its elaborate mosaic. Perhaps its openness to winds blowing from across the seas and from the mainland that makes it a meeting ground for diverse communities and a place of exchange. Along the 40-mile stretch of Mumbai's Arabian Sea coast, remnants of the city's early history are clearly visible in the presence of the Koli fishing communities. Their ancestors were the earliest known inhabitants of the 7 islands. It appears little has changed, except perhaps now their wooden boats are driven by engines, and their hulls are filled with ice to preserve their catch. Inevitably, their way of life is changing. City jobs lure their educated youth. Yet, the Kolis retain their own special identity, speaking their own dialect and observing centuries-old customs. Not far to the east of Victoria Terminus itself, the docks run all the way up the eastern side of the island, an unseen but essential presence, tucked away behind dockyard gates and the harbor railway. Developed through enterprise, with a vision and purpose, for 132 years, Mumbai port has retained its mercantile character throughout its other metamorphosis. As a rule, the ships are moored in deep water, well away from the shore, waiting their turn to unload their cargo at the docks. Mumbai port is by far the largest and busiest port in India. Over 40% of India's maritime trade passes through its docks alone. The city of Mumbai was once described as the connecting link between Europe and Asia, the point where two great civilizations meet and mingle. 154 years ago, the Mercantile Bank of Mumbai, London, and China was created in Mumbai to fulfill the potential foreseen for the city and its harbor.
That really displays the interest that the bank and its founders had in supporting trade, international trade even then. And if you look really at the origins of the city, the megalopolis that it is now was really started from the stitching together of 7 relatively smaller islands. And all these were really to facilitate the establishment of a hinterland. The railways came to India in 1853, and the first stop was between Thane and Mumbai. The city of Bombay was created really for promoting trade and business, and that has remained its role. So the city has, in fact, even today, contributes about 40% of India's personal income taxes. I think about 40% of the country's corporates are registered here. So even while they may be having their plants and factories and units elsewhere, their head offices are centered over here. There are at least 50 banks that are headquartered in Bombay. So it continues to be a very, very important part of the business India, of the corporate India.
Hello.
Mr. Godbole? Sir, I'm Malti Rangnekar speaking. I'd like to take a few minutes of your time. We have a very attractive offer of a personal
Hello.
loan, which I'd like to offer you
Hello,
at
I'm
a nominal
receiving
rate
the
of
fifth phone regarding the home loan, car loan, everything.
I'm not able to repay it. Is it okay for you?
I'm learning that Mumbai is all about the art of negotiating. To begin with, negotiating a street bustling with traffic. Nazir here assures me that he'll drop me in time for my appointment. This bustling commercial heartland, the fort area of Mumbai, reflects the chaos, bumper-to-bumper traffic, countless establishments jostling for space, hurried executives rushing to work. Parking spaces at a premium in these parts. I want to thank you very much for your time. It's a pleasure to meet you. I know you're really busy as a clearing member of the Bombay Stock Exchange.
Absolutely. Sam is the second largest stock exchange, oldest stock exchange in Asia. Tokyo, of course, is the honor of being the oldest. This Bombay Stock Exchange is the oldest. And it grew up on this very site under a banyan tree. Of course, these hallowed halls now speak of many a boom and bust. And then in the mid-1990s, the Bombay Stock Exchange had its version of the Big Bang. And we went to a completely electronic traded floor on the exchange. And the volumes when we had a floor, a physical floor, much like the New York Stock Exchange has even today, the volume used to run $100 million a day. Today, the entire equity markets in India, the equity and the F&O markets, which is the futures and options, trades upwards of $10 billion a day. So in a period of a decade, we've gone from $100 million to almost $10 billion thanks to the technology change. And it has made the markets more democratic. So whether there's a person sitting in the city of Raipur in central India, or whether he's sitting in Ranchi in central India, or whether he's sitting in Bombay, the same information is available to him. The same access to price quotes is available to him. So it's not only democratization of knowledge, but democratization of wealth.
There's a sense of being in a foreign land that gives Mumbai an uninhibited air. If everyone is a stranger, then isn't everyone free? Serendipity, a discovery every day. Cities like Mumbai live at night. The night has no time, and I can't seem to resist the sound of jazz coming out of not just Jazz by the Bay. Good morning, Gobole. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
How about if you pick me up in front of the hotel at 11:30? Excellent. Great. I'll see you then. Take care. That sense of a place apart is reinforced by geography and architecture. You cross the sea or an estuary to reach downtown. Once there, you find a British tropical city of Victorian railway stations, Art Deco apartment blocks, and Edwardian offices. Unlike other Indian towns, Mumbai did not emerge from a pilgrimage shrine or royal court. Its native aristocracy is one of wealth. The capacity for innovation manifested by Bombay's merchants and industrialists arose from the nature of their mixture of communities. From what they earned, they generously gave back to the city, to its people, for education, culture, and science. A magnificent heritage which Mumbaikars remain proud of today.
A lot of corporate houses have of late become conscious of the fact that a lot needs to be done for the restoration of this city. And over the last 10 years that I have been associated with the David Sassoon Library, a lot of corporate houses, banks, charitable trusts and Mumbaikars themselves have come forward in the restoration of this great heritage monument.
There's the story of how several decades earlier, J.N. Tata swore that one day he would build a hotel of his own which would far outdo the then best hotel in Bombay, Watson's, in both splendor and convenience. The result? His Taj. We must try to do what we think our customers would like. Words that echo even today in the house of Tatas. I'd like to ask you, sir, what internal initiatives were created by the Tata Group to help empower each individual group to reach its full global potential?
The Tata Group works quite differently. It works in a self-sustaining, self-invigorating way, by which I mean that the parts find their own path, but yet they are held together holistically by rather elastic connections rather than rigid connections. So the message came from the chairman some time ago that we have to shape up because the world is coming to India and we are not ready. And it was almost a natural corollary thereafter to say, well, if others can come to your country, have you thought about going to their countries to expand your markets or your supply base? And I think this organic sort of way of thinking nourished the efforts that our companies took to go into the world markets.
So how has the Tata Group worked to extend their ways of conducting business to its international acquisitions?
We almost go with a kit of what we call cultural due diligence. That we are not in the mode of acquiring a company in the historical metaphor of a conqueror or a victor who's marched and acquired a new territory. We have gone there because we think we have something to give, but equally we have something to take. And what is that two-way process that will really make this work better? And I think in some ways it's a bit Eastern in its approach, and if that is contested by sociologists, I would say it's a bit Indian in its approach. If that is also contested, I would certainly say without contest it's very Tata in its approach.
What have you learned from these foreign ventures, and how do you apply those lessons to your work here in India?
I would say that broadly the world sees itself in these international forays in two kinds of classifications. What I call the prescriptive approach and the adaptive approach. In the prescriptive approach, you're almost saying, I know pretty much how to make widgets, how to make soap, how to make films. All I need is to adapt it, tweak it a bit to the other country, and I'm rolling. In the adaptive approach, you're saying, I know how to make widgets in India, But I'd like to see how other people make widgets, and maybe I can do something better about widget making in India and teach the other guy how to make widgets like in India. And I think this is the defining approach that we are taking, and I would wait for a few years before I offer a comment on whether it's a right or the wrong approach. It's certainly a different approach.
As a city, Mumbai is seen as a financial leader. In these terms, how do you see the future of the city?
The world for my grandfather and great-grandfather was all about how to grow better crops and how to get jobs in the cities, any job, and get a steady income. The world for my son and grandson will be how to move money around. And they think very differently because the world has changed. And if there's one place where you can move money around and you can make money by moving other people's money around, it's Bombay.
Godbole tells me, Sam, Mumbai is all about dhanda, transaction.
Unique about Multiplicity market is that it is 125 years old. 1000 shop under one roof. એક આ લાઇનિંગ ને રિંગ ની આવી છે તો આપણે ટોપ બોટમ છે તો આપણે બધાનો ઓર્ડર આપવાનો છે.
My forefathers were dealing in the market for the last, I think, more than 100 years.
It all began here. Everybody was welcome here as long as they wanted to trade.
In most of the parts of India and even in the world, if there is any inquiry for the export qualities for cotton, they are looking at Bombay.
Cotton was the great export of Bombay. Cotton, raw, later spun, and finally in the form of finished products. This was the foundation on which most of their fortunes rested. Cotton is still king in today's Bombay. You can almost smell the money in the streets here, the smell of a city of gold. And even if not much of this gold comes directly to most of the people who actually live in the streets, the general prosperity of the city holds over them a kind of minimal economic umbrella.
These are the red apples. They are called red delicious. That is Fuji apple from China, green pears from Australia. I know these all fruits are imported fruits. But why don't you try our Ratnagiri Alfonso, the king of all mangoes?
आज जवळजवळ मी विकतोय तर 30-35 वर्ष ह्या व्यवहारात आहे. पण ही माझी तिसरी पिढी आहे. 100 वर्षापासून म्हणजे जेव्हा माझे आजोबा मुंबईला आले तेव्हापासून आम्ही फळांचा व्यवहार करतो. आणि आंब्यामध्ये विशेषतः ही तिसरी पिढी आहे.
Good mango. Next one.
This is another Bombay, the Bombay of the bazaar, the Bombay of the people, the seething crowds, the hubbub of dialects, the rich scents that become overwhelming. Muhammad Ali Road, an altogether Persian flavor. Mosques, narrow streets, shops filled from end to end with heavily laden stalls, while hawkers, licensed or unlicensed, trade from fabrics, bread, and sweets. The delicious kebabs. The burning coals on the fire really whets your appetite as you watch it cook before your eyes. That's an American way of saying I'd really like to buy you a cup of coffee. When I met Malika again, I felt that I must have passed her test.
Sure, why not?
I invite her for coffee, and Malika agrees to show me different parts of the city. We become friends.
But you still haven't answered my question.
The question about VT station?
Actually, Mr. Goldberg,
Please, Malika, call me Sam from now on.
Okay, Sam.
Thank you.
The point that I was trying to make, there are actually many different Bombays that make up this city. And we all know best those areas where we have lived and where we belong to. Unless and until you enter the interiors of these layers, you will never get to know that part of the city that coexists with the globalized Mumbai.
Here, in the heartland of the old city, trading is the mainstay, representing an ideal example of different communities working and living together in one locality. This region still retains its old flavor of simplicity and taste. So I understand why Malika wanted to meet me here. You don't get this from reading books or watching most films I've seen, at least.
In fact, Sam, right here in Dhobitala, you'll find that there are many small traders who have set up their shops about a century ago and are still thriving.
Really? Set up by two Goan brothers in 1886, Furtado and Sons continues to make the city, quite literally, dance to their tunes. David and Company set up shop in 1936 and today is a huge draw amongst Christian families planning a wedding. In spite of competition from the fashion industry, David and Company have survived and are still a name to reckon with. These owners take you back in time. Their warmth and personal attention is such a rarity these days. Like Roy and Company, one of the oldest surviving pharmacies, established in 1889. And here, we hear the stories about their famous customers.
Because Gandhiji was staying at Mani Bhavan at Gamdevi, and we were also residing at Banalal Terrace near Grant Road.
It's very beautiful, isn't it?
Yes.
And do you know that the name of this museum has been changed from Prince of Wales Museum to Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Vastu Sangrahalaya?
What I'm trying to do, Malika, is interpret through my script how this literary and cultural history melds with macroeconomic indicators, business statistics, transactions, economic policies of the government, and together how they give Mumbai its texture and feeling as a city. Through Malika, I was discovering the many layers and the two faces of this city. You can't help notice the furious pace that shopping malls are appearing in Mumbai. On a good day, 15,000 customers pass through the security check of the Atrium Mall, reflecting the increasing brand and consumer power of the people. An interesting change that you see so visibly is the corporatization of the diamond industry, one which has relied on family and trust for generations.
Geely was the first brand which is said to have democratized diamonds in the country and probably in the world. Diamond Trading Company and World Gold Council has also helped immensely to develop a number of brands in the country. Apart from domestic penetration, we are also looking at international markets. You must understand that the entire pipeline of diamond manufacturing, it's about $5 to $7 billion of rough diamond, ends up at nearly $17-18 billion in a polished diamond. But this $17-18 billion of polished diamond ends up at nearly $80 billion of jewelry. Well, the basic reason for the business where it is today, that we have a nearly 90% production of diamonds happening in this country, is because of a trust.
You know, the diamond industry has been probably the first outsourcing industry from India, and it's been there for almost 40 years. So this cost arbitrage that the West talks about has been there in India in an industry that has not been recognized. For the last 40-50 years, India has been providing diamonds to the world. We've been successful because we bring to the business a huge amount of history and a certain amount of vertical integration that is unique. There is a certain amount of experience in terms of being able to take this jewelry out into the market and selling it.
Both faces of the diamond and jewelry industry will remain. One is on a trust base and the other one is a corporate and a professional one, which is going to lead India to the next generation as far as this business is concerned.
It seems that the greatest luxury of all in this city is space and solitude. And it is in search of this that younger couples shift to the suburbs, investing their earnings in flats, however tiny, places they can call their home. I'm on my way to meet a charming couple, Navin and Divya Shah, and in them I see this pride of owning a home in Mumbai.
In fact, for the first few years of our marriage, we had to live in a single room in Divya's parents' house. But now things have changed, and for the better, I must say.
You know, it's amazing to me when I've seen films and magazines and images, pictures of Bombay over the decades. It used to be 1-2 kinds of cars, very few colors. Now you open your door, you go outside. How many colors, makes and models, I can't even count. It's quite phenomenal, such rapid change.
Even this house that we are in right now, we bought it some 3 years back. 750 square feet and a very nice locality. That time it cost us some 15 lakhs. And now I realize it's worth much more than that.
It's understandable. You live in quite a fine neighborhood. As I was coming here, I was appreciating the tree-lined streets, the shops and cafes, the restaurants, the view of Versova Beach. You two have done really well for yourselves.
Well, for me, I have loved decorating this place. I used to spend days and hours leafing through those catalogs. Naveen was losing his patience. He used to tell me that when am I going to get to my house finally?
You know, your patience has been rewarded with a beautiful home, Naveen. And trust me, the love sown in decorating an apartment will be reaped in the marriage many times over.
That calls for a cup of tea, I suppose.
Yes, please. Dear Michael, you can look at a scene from 1,000 different windows and you will see something new each time. I'm struck again and again that the past continues not only to be, but also to thrive profitably. Standing here opposite the General Post Office, amidst fluttering pigeons, I'm seeing the curious and yet emotional sight of letter writers. They help the migrant workers write letters to his family and village that he may not have seen for many years. And I wonder if this quaint tradition may soon disappear with the cheap cost of telephone and mobile connections in the city.
Hi Sam, Mallika here. What are you doing today morning?
Poised between east and west, the unassuming Irani cafes are peculiar to Mumbai. They are the legacy of a late 19th century immigration into the city. They bring a sense of calmness into the city's frenetic life.
How do you like the chai and the hot buttered buns? Don't they literally melt in your mouth? You know, Sam, it's here that you find the very soul of the city. Just imagine a 100-year-old Irani cafe right in the middle of the city, with its wooden chairs, red checkered tablecloths, Shrewsbury and wine biscuits in glass jars, and a long list of do's and don'ts.
Like over there on the wall, it's written, "Please pay with exact change. We don't accept credit cards. Pay your bill before proceeding to the store to buy your biscuits."
We have maintained this place like this. Furniture, everything. When the people come from abroad also, they say, oh, same kayani, same furniture, same atmosphere.
If you look around carefully, you will see traders and office goers all around you, who often come here for a tea break. You know, in fact, an Irani cafe is such an integral part of the city's culture that artists and writers have captured it in their films and plays also.
Raj Kapoor came and he sat there at that table.
I come away from Kayani's wondering, whose city is Mumbai? Is it for those who believe in change? Or is it for those who believe that their way of life will still survive? Like the Liberty Theater that is still standing proud amidst the multiplex culture. Its heritage takes you back into the glorious black and white era of Indian cinema.
And cinema to me is the average man in the street. He cannot afford a multiplex. He doesn't subscribe to that culture. So we still have our market. We as Indians like to be together in large numbers. We prefer a hall of 1,000 seats to a hall of 200. We enjoy a film more looking to the reaction of the people around you. And the reaction of 1,000 is not quite the same as a reaction of 200. The design, the architecture, the Art Deco was symptomatic of that time. I mean, it's just after World War II. So Art Deco was born much before that. But that was the style that was expected and accepted. It was started just after India attained independence in 1947, and consequently the name Liberty was very apt at that time. It was titled, when it was built, The Showplace of the Nation. It's a title we still carry.
Panditji said that he wanted every Indian in this country to do something for his nation, to build it up into a beautiful dream that he had in his mind. He was a visionary, and we followed and we tried to. I was in film, so I tried to do best whatever I could do through films.
Raj Kapoor, his music, and the fact that it went to so many centers in the world. But, well, it started quite a bit here. We showed a number of his films, and those were the days.
Indian faces, the portraits of our stars, appeared on the theatre fronts all over Moscow to greet the Soviet cinegoers. Here is Avara, they call it Pradyaga in Russian. And here is Raj Kapoor, who was soon to get the popular title of Tavarish Pradyaga, Comrade Avara. गर्दिश में हूँ आसमान का तारा हूँ आवारा हूँ आवारा हूँ क्या गर्दिश में हूँ आसमान का तारा हूँ आवारा हूँ आवारा हूँ ला 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 Action!
Cut there. Mumbai has many ways of reminding you that it's the world's most prolific film capital, home to a production line that fuels 1 billion dreams.
Background.
It was this passion and, as he says, his destiny that drew filmmaker Rakesh Omprakash Mehra to cinema and to Bombay.
The first time I saw a camera was on my shoot, so it's like that.
Action!
I haven't assisted anybody, ever. I haven't gone to a film school, ever.
Okay, guys, just maintain the mood. We'll be shooting for a while.
Rang De Basanti was supported by the government to represent India as his nomination for Oscars. It did get a BAFTA nomination. So in the European circuit, it was good. But what is far more satisfying is Rang De Basanti has found his place in the subconscious of the nation and its people. The only way to reach out to a larger audience and a global audience outside the South Asian diaspora would be to do more and more localized movies, to tell more and more Indian stories in the Indian way. We've taken birth from folk theatre as Indian cinema, and we're still there, I guess. We still haven't kind of cut the umbilical cord with folk as such. So that's why you see the stories are larger than life, the performances are melodramatic. Cut, we'll do one. There are songs, so quite often a very serious character in your film breaks into a song, singing it lip sync. So all these are more from where our cinema was born.
तुम लोग हंस क्यों रहे हो?
Action! Confusion हो रही है और सब लोग थोड़े हड़बड़ा से गए। नहीं तो अभी लग रहा है उसकी लाइनें पूरी हुई। पूरा पीछे जाने का इंतजार मत कीजिए। The whole corporate structure by moving in has made it possible for filmmakers, especially like me, to be with the new age and to kind of be part of the change and to be the change itself.
I think what the film is trying to say is that it's telling the youth to take matters in their own hands. That's what the film is saying. It is telling the youth to get involved. It is telling the youth to take control. It is telling the youth to get mobilized. It's asking the youth to, propel society in the right direction.
We are trying to imbibe on their minds that nothing happens by default. You need to design your future. At the same time, on that journey, we are always trying to share with them, you need to have a vision. The power of vision is very important. If you have a power of vision and the understanding of the vision, coupled with action, you can change the world. Now this year even we'll have more than 100 students going and visiting various universities, various companies across the globe. So this entire drive of globalization, we need to have all the levels in sync with that. In Mumbai, typically as a prominent city, we go through a lot of adversities. If I go back to even my school days, for school point of view, I used to kind of travel for almost 15 minutes from my house to station. I used to take a train when I was in 8th standard, and as you know, the train traffic all the time. In management jargon today we talk about adversity quotient, but somewhere in school days itself I still remember probably I was getting mentally prepared to take your own decisions.
I think living in the city of Bombay is a major influence on my career as an artist, I feel. One is bombarded by diverse imagery, diverse sounds, diverse situation at the same time.
Artist Atul Dodia, whose works are highly sought after by international art collectors, describes himself as someone in between. One who can still connect with his roots here while sharing his concepts with the global community of art lovers.
Artists would come to Bombay to sell works. I mean, I enjoy showing at the Jahangir Art Gallery. If you go, there's so many people, from the socialites and those collectors to the laymen, common man, they all come. They see, and there is always buzz and people talk about. But yeah, the scene has changed quite dramatically. We are into kind of a global
world and a part of a international art scene. It's no more, I'm Indian artist living in India and painting and showing only in India. I broke those rules. I started talking in my work as if having an imaginary dialogue with Jasper Johns or Pablo Picasso or Philip Guston. Due to that, what happened that in a single picture plane, I have Raja Ravi Verma's Gangavataran, Descent of Ganges, and Marshal Duchamp's nude descending staircase superimposing in the same painting. And what was interesting, I found, it was a kind of a hybrid sort of image, where my mother, when she saw the painting, she recognizes the myth of Ganga, but she doesn't know Marcel Duchamp. And when the work is shown abroad, in the West particularly, they recognize Duchamp, but they don't know the myth of Ganga. And now I know both. What I'm supposed to do? That's my dilemma. That what is mine and what is not mine, or what is someone else's, or which doesn't belong to me. I feel living in India means, huge responsibility.
The cities of the world are known to us through their literature, their poetry. But when you look inwards into those streets, those homes, in its responses you can see how the city is going through its transitions.
खबर है आपकी चार तोड़ने वाले हैं, काका आपकी भी।
नहीं तोड़ेंगे मियां, बिल्कुल नहीं तोड़े।
क्या मतलब?
मतलब हम जीतेंगे, हम ही जीतेंगे।
हाँ जीतेंगे, मगर कैसे?
कैसे भाव साहब? संगीत मियां, जिंदा है संगीत। हम जीतेंगे क्योंकि जिंदा है संगीत। हम जीतेंगे क्योंकि जुनून है संगीत, प्यार है संगीत, मेरा यार है संगीत, एक खोज है संगीत, एक धुन है संगीत। संगीत जुड़ा है मां से, संगीत जुड़ा है दुलार से। हर सुबह हाथ माथ पर कपड़ा बुनती हुई संगीत के सुरों में डोरी गाती, उस जादुई आवाज का असर आज भी तरोताजा है। उन सुरीले धागों का कपड़ा आज भी हमने ओढ़ा है मियां।
कबीर माझा भाऊ ग, धाकली मी बहीण, त्याला सांगेन ग, गाण मी विणीन, गाण मी विणल लेकराला उभेच, सुखाच्या छायेच आईच्या मायेच।
I think I'm beginning to understand the roots and emotions of people linked to this city. As I visit this locality of central Bombay, once home to the textile mills. Hi, Malika.
Hi.
Perfect timing.
Did you find your way easily?
No problem. I showed the taxi driver the paper on which you'd written Kala Choki and Lower Parel, and he took me directly here.
Once, these were the chawls, with the verandas, open space and lots of trees. These chawls have gone now and buildings have come up. We really miss that. But we never moved as a whole family lived here. My neighbors are the same. They have seen me grow up. It's like a large family in which you live.
Mama, उद्या सुट्टी आहे साहेबांना.
The famous Dabawala, I suppose?
This was once called Kirangaon, a textile village. This is the university that inspired the poetry of Narayan Surve, a textile mill worker. His poems have given the mill workers a place in Marathi poetry. At 7 in the morning, the siren sings its song. The first shift begins with great zeal. Wheels whirl around. The yarn is spun fast to adorn the earth with the toil of our hands and sweat.
Vast, undulating waves of factory roofs are the only remaining symbol of where millions worked. Thousands now live. I can feel something Malika has touched me today. The relationship between the community, the textile mills, the people, the way of living. I can understand why poets would emerge from this type of area. Meeting Malika's family, their warmth and affection, and soul-stirring music is something unforgettable, something I shall cherish for a long time. A cosmopolitan couple, the Banajis have invited me to their home, and the evening proves to be most enlightening.
Hi, you must be Mrs. Banerjee.
That's right, Zavera Banerjee. Welcome to my home. Welcome, please.
Thank you very much.
So it's interesting that you're talking about how Bombay's own peculiar history has put it in this place of being a city that's very financially oriented. But my understanding is that Calcutta and Chennai were both cities founded by the British in a similar time with similar financial purposes. So then why do you both think this city has this peculiar character which maybe isn't found in the others?
I think one of the secrets of Bombay's being able to tap closer to the full potential of its citizens is the manner in which women are treated here. Probably in no other city in India, and we reckon throughout the world it's 50% of the population we are talking about, are they as free to work and contribute at varying levels, right from top businesswomen to people who keep the wheels of banks going, or even down to even more menial tasks. But I think the liberation of women into the workforce is probably part of the answer.
You know, on the same point, I'd just like to say that the level of safety that women feel is really, really good in Bombay.
What other infrastructural or policy changes would you like to see in India, or specifically in Bombay, that would help to, release the full potential of the people and the economy?
The obvious answers are the ones to do with the hardware, the infrastructure, the power, the ports, the roads. But the less tangible ones, of course, have to do with people. I explained that the reason Bombay is ahead of the rest of India is perhaps because it is more inclusive than the rest. But there's still ways in which Bombay too could be more inclusive. And therein I think lies the breakthrough we're waiting for.
Dear Michael, I'm in search of the appropriate script, one that reflects my experiences in the past couple of weeks, combined with the ideas we discussed in LA before my departure. The layers of history and multiplicity of people in Mumbai is astounding. What they have in common with each other is a restlessness, a single-minded pursuit to make it big. Perhaps it is this special character that makes it a city with two faces. With its inclusive quality of its people, their strengths, their influences, their challenges. Beyond question, we should feature this in our film. I can't begin to share with you all the sights, smells, and textures of the city. Our challenge is to bring this to life for our audience. It's an exciting, yet daunting task. After my time here, I can assure you it will be an amazing and unforgettable experience for us all. Warm regards, Sam.
We love our city because it is ours.
Mumbai is vibrant. Mumbai is unputdownable. Mumbai is unstoppable.
If I'm true Bombayite, then I'm true Indian, and then I'm true international, I feel. So it has everything start from here, and it will go there, it will come back again.
So Mumbai is the place where I would like to continue living till the end of my time.
So there is a potential, because if India is going to be an important center, it will attract a large amount of market cap, it will have very important companies in the world. So it is natural that the finance and the world of finance gravitate towards Bombay.
Probably in 5 years' time, we'll find a different Mumbai altogether.